Buckle your bells and dim the light.
Shh, don't let her hear.
23 elves in candlelight.
She might be near.
But now it's got a letter that'll make you shake. Missing names and recipes that make you ache. When copper pots begin to sing, better hide in everything.
We held the meeting in the old wrapping room, far from her kitchen. Bernard insisted on it, said the copper pots in the newer sections had started growing ears. The elves gathered in silence, their bells muffled with scraps of leftover gift wrap. I counted 23 of them. There used to be 30 in the kitchen rotation. We can't ignore this anymore, Bernard whispered, his usually jolly face drawn tight with worry. 3 more disappeared last week. She said they were assigned, but I heard singing from the preservation vault. It wasn't Christmas carols. The others nodded, their pointed ears twitching at every distant sound. Old Marcus, who'd worked the cookie detail for 60 years, before discovering what really went into the special batches, pulled out a ledger bound in something that felt disturbingly like childhood memories. "Look at these numbers," he said, hands shaking. "It's not just the overly curious children anymore." Last month she started processing ones who simply did the math wrong on their Christmas lists. Said their imprecise calculations needed to be preserved as examples. "She has a new theory," whispered Holly, one of the few remaining kitchen elves. "Something about how preserving a child's first moment of Christmas doubt creates a sort of renewable energy source. She calls it perpetual disbelief. I saw her bottling it last week. The liquid glowed like anti-starlight. I watched their faces in the dim workshop light, each one marked by the knowledge we couldn't unknow. Some bore subtle changes, eyes that had seen too much, hands that trembled when the copper pots sang at midnight. A few had started developing the same glassy look I'd noticed in the preserved children's portraits that lined her private pantry. "What about the new wing she's building?" asked Timothy, his voice barely audible. "The one with the glass tubes and the tanks labelled Essence of Lost Wonder." "Industrial scale processing," Bernard replied grimly. "I saw the blueprints. She's calling it Project Perpetual Preservation, a way to systematically collect and bottle childhood skepticism before it can spread and contaminate the general belief pool. But what can we do? The question came from a young elf in the back, one of the new hires who hadn't yet learned to disguise their terror. "She's Mrs. Claus. She's always been here, even before some of us can remember." I cleared my throat, and the room fell silent. "There might be a way," I said, pulling out an ancient recipe book I'd found hidden in the workshop's deepest archives. A way to preserve the preservation, to bottle her methods without the need for fresh ingredients. The elves leaned forward, their eyes reflecting the desperate hope of those who've seen too much but can't unsee it. I opened the book to a page marked with a ribbon that felt like a child's last moment of belief. "But we'll need help," I continued, "from the ones she thought she'd preserved completely. You see, some questions can't be bottled. Some doubts keep growing, even in suspension." Bernard nodded grimly. "The storage vault. The special shelves where she keeps the brightest ones. They're not just preserved. They're waiting. We'll have to be careful," I warned. "If she suspects, well, We've all seen the special cabinet where she keeps her failed experiments, the ones who tried to change her recipes. The meeting ended as quietly as it began, each elf slipping away through different routes, careful not to establish patterns. But as they left, I noticed something unsettling. Their shadows seemed to move differently, as if they'd learned new ways to hide. And their eyes had that same glassy look I'd seen in the preservation jars. I should close now. The copper pots have started their midnight song, and Mrs. Claus always serves her special hot chocolate after the kitchen's nocturnal chorus. But remember, if you hear sleigh bells that sound hollow, if you catch the scent of something sweet that makes your memories feel fuzzy, run. Some recipes aren't meant to be tasted, and some cooks don't take kindly to critics.
Key to the shadows. Watch the door. 3 more gone from the kitchen floor. If you hear caroling, run away. Some of us won't see Christmas Day.
Some won't see Christmas.